Welcome back, friends, to a new Animal Crossing speed build. If you love ACNH and are looking for ACNH build ideas for your Animal Crossing island, look no further. Hey guys, it's Danny Bell. Welcome back to the channel. Maybe you're new to Animal Crossing New Horizons and you see all kinds of pictures of amazing faux buildings on Pinterest or Instagram. Maybe you're a little intimidated by that like I am sometimes, and you wonder, how do they do it? In today's video, I hope to show you how to build a couple of easy citycore style faux buildings that you can recreate on your island step by step. I hope you guys are having an amazing day today. Just as a reminder, if you're enjoying this type of content, be sure to hit the like button and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. You can also find me on Instagram at Peppy Crossing Play, so be sure to pop over there and give me a follow there as well. I'm so excited because we're finally back on Aussibelle. If you guys are new to the channel, we have been working on a Desertcore style island, and we worked on this really adorable barbecue style building, and if you missed that video, I will be sure to link that at the end of this one, just so you can get caught up. But we're going to be working in this space today on the island because I really want to get this island done, y'all, before summer is over. I wanted to kind of finish this front space on the island because this is going to be a more citycore vibe on the island, and then the back end of the island that's more natural I've kind of been working on in the background. Alright, let's speed things up and get going. First things first, I went ahead and created a second tier of just a few little spaces here. You can see the dimensions right here on the screen, just to create a space where we can start placing some items because these are going to be double levels. That's one of the things I love to do in creating faux buildings on my islands. If you have the ability unlocked to terraform, you're going to really have some show-stopping faux buildings on your island. I also love to put some custom design on top of the cliff. It just really camouflages to create a more realistic looking faux building on your island, so I highly recommend that. Simple panels are going to be your best friend, so if you have those cataloged, I highly recommend getting some of those ordered, or visit a treasure island if you have the ability to do that, and customize those with whatever theme you're going for on your island. In this case, we're building a little record store. I thought it would be kind of cute. We're kind of going for more of a neutral toned, retro sort of vibe on this island, and so I thought a record store would be kind of cute. We're going to be using some of these bunk beds just to kind of create a really fun, unique roof line. I know that a lot of us in the Animal Crossing community get very creative on different furniture pieces and creating very unique roof lines for our faux buildings. So there's a lot of different furniture pieces out there that you can get your hands on when creating different roof lines. And let me know if you're interested. I'd love to maybe even create a full video just dedicated to kind of showing you different techniques and ideas on how to create lots of different style faux buildings. But like I said, bunk beds are a good one. Having these simple panels handy is really great, and a lot of these display cases that you'll see what we're using today is a good one as well. I'm going to go ahead and put down some in-game path. Now this is really only important depending on if you want some of these builds to show up on your map when looking at it in the game, or if you're sharing it online. I think it does look pretty great. The in-game path does show up on your map, whereas the custom design does not. So if you really want some of these patterns, or if you're marking on the map maybe where certain buildings are on your in-game map, it is kind of nice to use some of the in-game path underneath your custom design path just to make sure it shows up. If it doesn't really matter to you, then you can skip that step for sure, but I kind of like the way that it looks. Alright, we're going to go ahead and layer in some other different custom design patterns for a little sidewalk just to kind of frame in this build. I kind of like to go in the order of putting my path down first if I can when I'm doing builds. If you're not really sure, I tend to kind of pick up and move things sometimes when I'm planning out a build. A lot of it is trial and error, so don't be shy if you have different items and you're kind of checking the different height variations. I tend to kind of pick up and move things a lot, spin them around. A lot of times when I'm making faux buildings, I will oftentimes put items backwards because you'd be surprised. Some items will work really well for faux buildings if they're just simply turned around backwards and used unintentionally for their original purpose. So like I said, this display case is really great because it has this huge window. You can customize a pattern here in the front, like for this record store, but if you turn it around backwards, it looks totally different. So like I said, lots of different uses for these items in the game, so you can get very creative in the game. And you'll see with our next building, there's a lot of examples for using different bookshelves, and that's another item that if you can get your hands on is a good one to use. For this particular building that's next to us, if you missed that build for the barbecue shop that we did for the last speed build on Aussibelle, we used this retro bus station station, this red retro bus station. That's a really great faux building item as well. So I will link that video for that speed build at the end of this one, so that if you want to check that one out and you like that concept, that one we actually used a villager home as sort of a wraparound style build. So these particular ones, we're not using any villager homes, we're just simply using items and cliffs to kind of create these faux buildings. But lots of different styles that you can use when building lots of different builds for your island, and yeah, hopefully you're enjoying it so far. All right, next we're going to go ahead and play some items. I really like the idea of using these different record players. Any of the music items in the game are really fun just because it adds a whole different level of interactivity. And then actually using the albums, some of the KK music items, it's fun to be able to place those to use them as decorations. If you're decorating indoors, you can hang them right on the wall. Outdoors, you can just simply place them like that as an item to sit down. And it's just really super cute. And I kind of forget sometimes that there's just so much lovely art for some of these music pieces, and they can go really well with a build, just to kind of hang them on the wall, or like I said, place them outside like this. It's just really fun to be able to utilize that. We're going to go ahead and place a few more items just to kind of frame this in. I love this box sofa. This is also an item that you see a lot in a lot of the popular Instagram builds. You'll see them even sometimes use them to frame in the rooftop. It's a very popular item to do that with. So I'm going to use it here just to kind of frame in the front of the building to create some added seating, but that's also a very popular item if you can get the box sofa cataloged on your island. And it comes in a lot of different colors, so really a fun variety. You could use it for a diner, you could use it for a restaurant, just a really great item to have on hand for your island if you're looking for some ideas. Yeah, loving this so far. Okay, I'm just going to put down some lights because I kind of forget this is going to be more of a boardwalk style in this front end by the beach, but it looks great so far. All right, we're going to move on to the second part of this build. This, I kind of envisioned it being more of like a pub. One of our friends on the channel reminded me, because they live in Australia, they said there's a lot of pubs in this area. And since I've never personally visited Australia, I thought that was really a super helpful tip. So we're going to go ahead and put a pub in over here, and I thought it would be fun. I found this adorable custom design that I think will be perfect for this build, and I'm just trying to decide how I want to do the in-game path for this particular building because I don't want it to look exactly the same as the last one. So I think we're going to get creative, and we're going to do sort of a checkerboard pattern here just so that it will look very unique on the map. And then we're going to go ahead and overlay that with some custom design. I feel like this adds some visual variety, especially if you're trying to differentiate between your buildings, if they're very close together on a long stretch of street, or like a shopping district on your island. It can be really great to kind of break up the build area instead of having one long pathway, to kind of differentiate it with something like a checkerboard pattern like this. And it also gives you the ability to put in fun little custom designs like this dropped spilled bottle. Now for this build, these are the wooden bookshelves. Like I said, turning them around backwards is a really great way to is outdoor walls, and they just make for a really great backdrop. Again, a few different color variations, so depending on what style build you're doing, there are a few options for this item. I believe this is a crafted item, so if you are just starting out and maybe you're just sort of building up all of your cataloged items on your game, it is kind of nice to have some of these items that you can build with that are craftable versus just things that you can order on the island. We're going to layer a lot of this particular building with the storefront. Now, I do a lot of layering in Animal Crossing when I'm doing any of my builds, but with faux buildings, I feel like layering is key. If you've seen any of our island tours, if you see a lot of the creators that do a ton of faux buildings outside on their island, they love to do layering, and they use a lot of different items to achieve this with a lot of different height variations. So I would encourage you to get a lot of different height items and just play around with it on your island, and it helps sometimes if you stand back, place the items, walk far away from your build, get your camera out sometimes, and just kind of check from far away what it looks like. That tends to be a really helpful tip when you're kind of creating a unique style build, if you're kind of creating your own. And look from above and below, that can help as well. We're going to go ahead and put down some custom design here on this rooftop. I just think, like I said, it makes it look very finished and polished, especially when people are coming to tour your island. It just makes everything look a little bit more polished at the end. And we're going to layer a stall in front of these storefronts. This is just a regular pattern. I didn't use a custom design for these stalls, so that definitely helps on saving with patterns. And then we're gonna go ahead and sandwich it with more of the storefronts here. Now, if you're creating a faux building that is pushed directly in front of a cliff, you don't necessarily have to finish the building all the way around. If you are doing it in the middle of an area like this where people can actually walk around, I highly recommend maybe finishing the building off all the way around so that people can see if they walk all the way to the behind that it looks finished. We're gonna place some more items. I think for a pub, we definitely want some table and chairs out here. I love this little metal and wood chair set. I think it's super cute. It definitely works well for like a patio vibe for a pub or a bar, something like that, or a little outdoor restaurant, and it's looking super cute. Gonna grab a couple little things like this little glass jar with some snacks and maybe a few more little glass bottles over here. And it's looking pretty good so far. We might add a few little finishing touches to add outside here, but I'm really liking the plain party lights kind of framing everything in. And again, using the glass door custom design on the simple panels looks really convincing for faux buildings. So there's a lot of variety in those if you look online on Pinterest to get some custom design patterns for various faux buildings. All right, I realized I wanted to put a couple more storefronts just to finish framing this in, but all in all, I'm pretty happy with how this build came together. Add a couple more finishing touches. What have you guys been working on your islands? I love to hear from you guys. We've been doing a ton of subscriber island tours on the channel, and I always love to hear what you've been working on. So let me know in the comments what has been your latest build on your island, what's been inspiring you, and let me know what you'd like to see more of on the channel. I do hope to do more speed builds for Aussibelle because I do want to get this island done pretty soon. Let me know if you'd be interested in doing some long play videos on here. I know one of my favorite things to do on the weekend is sit and play Animal Crossing, and now that the game has been out for a while, I find that I'm the only one in my family that plays anymore. So sometimes I find it's a little lonely and I really just want to play with my friends. So it's really nice to be able to just put on a YouTube video, someone that's also playing the game with me. And so if you guys would enjoy having a long play video of just me building on Aussibelle so that you feel like maybe you've got a friend or a buddy building with you, and if that's something that would interest you so that you can have a friend building with you while you're building on your island, let me know if that would interest you and I'd be happy to do that. I always do love to hear from you guys and I do aim to please. All right, let's take a look at our builds. I really like this little record store. I think it's perfectly retro and I love how this little pub turned out. I think our villagers on this island are really gonna enjoy this and I think it's gonna be really cute. We'll have to come up with some ideas. I've got a couple of ideas for what we want to do for the next faux buildings. Stop it. Look at these two over here hanging out in the corner. They won't move. I do love how this turned out though. I like that there's a little bit of height to this build, and I don't know why it's snowing today on the island. I truthfully have to do a little bit of time hopping because we're playing in the fall. It's right on the cusp of winter, obviously. Today we've got some flurries hanging out, but I really like how this turned out. I like how there is a little bit of space up top on the roof. We could for sure put a couple of small items on the top of the roof just to give it a little bit of added interest if we want to. But all in all, I'm really happy with how this turned out. You could for sure, if you're looking to do a coordinating interior build, you could decorate one of your rooms in your player house, or you could even decorate the interior of one of your villager homes as just sort of a coordinated build if you have unlocked that through Happy Home Paradise. Definitely a great, fun, interactive way to incorporate that. All in all, really happy with how this turned out. I hope you guys found this helpful and enjoyable. If you did, be sure to hit the like button and let me know what you'd like to see next. Thank you so much for watching. Wishing y'all an amazing day. Take care, and we'll see you in the next one.